You check your bank account, watch the cost of living rise, and sit in meetings terrified that one wrong move or one mistake will cost you everything. You are living in a constant state of low-grade panic. But what if I told you that anxiety isn't actually protecting you? Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, warned us 2,000 years ago, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Look at your life. The endless news cycles, the notifications, the external pressures of modern society, they feed us a relentless diet of dread. You think your anxiety is unique to this era. It isn't. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire during a deadly plague. Seneca lived under a tyrant. They knew immense stress. But they did not let it rule them. Today, I am going to show you how to use Stoic philosophy to domesticate your anxiety. And pay close attention because I will give you a 4-step mental framework that will help you interrupt an overthinking spiral and respond calmly when anxiety rises. Let's talk about your most expensive habit. Few things cost you more than chronic anxiety. It quietly drains more from your life than you realize. It robs you of your presence. It strains your relationships. It destroys your focus. You pay for it with your sleep and your peace of mind. And the worst part, you get absolutely no reward for it. Let me give you a brutal example. Picture a professional facing rumors of corporate layoffs. For 3 months, he stops sleeping. He snaps at his family. He spends his weekends, his only time to rest, staring blankly at a wall, mentally preparing for a pink slip. The layoffs happen. He keeps his job. But look at the cost. He just spent 3 months living the trauma of being fired, even though he was never fired. He borrowed suffering. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, but they didn't do it to torture themselves. If that man was a Stoic, he would have looked at the rumor and said, if I lose this job, I will cut my expenses, update my resume, and finally pivot to that new industry. He would have turned anxiety into a blueprint. He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. So if anxiety is the problem, how do we train ourselves not to obey it? Let's talk about what I call the Zeno protocol. Modern men are paralyzed by the fear of other people's opinions. You are terrified of making a mistake, terrified of looking foolish, terrified of not fitting in. When Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, first began studying philosophy, his teacher realized Zeno cared way too much about social validation. So, his teacher gave him a task: carry a clay pot full of lentil soup through the most crowded district of Athens. As Zeno nervously walked through the crowd, his teacher snuck up behind him and smashed the pot with his staff. Soup exploded everywhere. Zeno stood there, utterly mortified, wishing the ground would swallow him whole. His teacher laughed and said, "Courage, my little Phoenician, it's just a little soup." This was ancient exposure therapy. Take a young professional paralyzed by social anxiety. He won't speak up in a meeting or take a creative risk because he has built up a catastrophic scenario in his head where he is publicly humiliated. The Zeno protocol forces him to realize the worst-case scenario in your head is a lie. Even if you are rejected, even if you fail, it's just a little soup. You don't die. You just wipe it off and keep walking. So, how do you take absolute control? You must understand a core truth from Epictetus. Listen carefully to this distinction. Anxiety is not created by the events themselves, but by the judgments we attach to them. You cannot control economic cycles. You cannot control your employer's decisions, but you control your judgment. Biting your nails does not change the probability of a bad event happening. When you feel the spiral starting, you must execute this 4-step framework. Step 1. Accept the worst. Stop running from the ghost. Look it in the eye. What is the absolute worst thing that can happen? Accept that it is a possibility. Once you accept it, it loses its power over you. Step 2. Gather the data. Anxiety thrives in the unknown. Operating without data is like walking through a dense fog. Every shadow looks like a monster. Strip away the emotion. Look only at the facts. What do you actually know to be true right now? Step 3. Map the solutions. Based purely on the data, what are the actionable options you have? Predict the likely outcome of each. Turn your panic into a tactical flowchart. Step 4. Execute and refuse to recalculate. Once you choose a path, take action, and more importantly, stop calculating. The overthinker recalculates the same math 100 times expecting a different answer. A Stoic makes a decision, executes, and lets fate handle the rest. Action leaves less room for fear to grow. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Imagine a young woman waiting for the results of an important medical test. For days, her mind keeps whispering the same terrifying question. What if it's bad news? Instead of spiraling, she remembers the Stoic framework. First, she accepts the worst. Yes, the results could reveal a serious illness. Pretending otherwise won't change reality. Then she gathers the facts. The doctor hasn't called. She has no diagnosis. Everything her mind is creating is only imagination. Next, she maps her options. If the test is normal, she moves on with gratitude. If it isn't, she'll begin treatment immediately, lean on her family, and face one step at a time. Finally, she makes a choice. She stops searching the internet for symptoms, puts her phone away, goes for a walk, and refuses to replay the same fear 100 more times. A week later, the results come back. Everything is normal. But the real victory wasn't the test result. The real victory was that she didn't spend an entire week borrowing pain from a future that never arrived. If you refuse to let your mind be a prison of overthinking, drop a comment down below right now. I control my judgment. Let's see who is taking their sovereignty back today. A true Stoic does not suppress his emotions. He dissects them. Anxiety is just a signal. Look at it. Ask yourself, how does this obstacle stop me from acting with courage, discipline, and wisdom? The answer is, it doesn't. Every time you master one anxious thought, you reclaim a piece of your freedom. If you want to stop borrowing pain and start building an unbreakable mental fortress, you need to master the art of silent confidence. The video on your screen right now will show you the exact Stoic habits to command respect without saying a word. Stop suffering in your imagination. Wake up to reality. I will see you there.